Hey everybody, it's Thaddeus here from PrimalHacker with...
Hey everybody, it's Taro.
We're driving down in winter. It's not spring yet, so it's still winter. Although, it sure doesn't look like it out our window here.
That's because we're in Florida.
So we're driving down to Florida. And we're going to teach you in this video how to get vitamin D in the winter. Perfect time to do that.
So according to Thaddeus, there's 5 ways of getting vitamin D. What's the first one, Thaddeus?
These are in order. So they are in order of best to worst. So this is assuming you do not live in an area of the world where you can get vitamin D from the sun in winter. So the number one thing that most people don't know is you make vitamin D from the sun in your skin, and it's actually not a vitamin, it's a hormone. That's why it's so important. You've got to have it. But in the winter, when you live above a certain latitude, so I'd say, it's basically the Midwest states, the northern Midwest states, all the way north through wherever, including any countries in Europe above the Mediterranean, you're not going to get any vitamin D manufactured in your skin in winter, regardless of how much skin you show and how long you're outside for. So if you can't make vitamin D in winter, but it's absolutely critical for health, then how do you get it? So the number one way is expose 70% or more of your skin, so that's quite a bit of skin, during the summer. Vitamin D or hormone D is fat soluble. That means it is stored in your fat. And the great thing about vitamin D is you can manufacture up to 25,000, 50,000, maybe 60,000 units of vitamin D in your skin in one sun session over 30 minutes in the summer. You could take a pill and you're only going to get 400 IUs. I'm talking 60,000 IUs from the sun, safely made in your skin, stored in your fat. You can use it all winter when you're not getting enough. You could try to supplement that with a pill. At 400 IUs, that's a lot of pills to take, and it gets toxic if you take too many, and it's not very effective. So the number one best way is to get it in the summer when the sun is making vitamin D in your skin. That's when the sun angle is above 45 degrees from the horizon. You can find that on the NOAA, the NASA, and other websites when that is in your latitude, that the sun is above 45 degrees. There's a time of day and a time of the year when that happens. So for instance, in Wisconsin, the sun is at that latitude and at that angle around solar noon, so that's generally between 11:45 and 1:30 in the afternoon, depending on the time of the year, and it starts roughly in April, sometimes at the end of March. You have to look. So basically the beginning of April till the middle to end of September is the only time we can make vitamin D from the sun in Wisconsin. Different for every latitude. The higher you go up in latitude, the less vitamin D you can make. The lower you go until you hit the equator, you can make vitamin D on the equator all year long.
Awesome. Actually, I have a question. If you have more fat on your body, because I know women have more fat, do you store more vitamin D?
So that's a great question. Vitamin D is fat soluble, so I don't know that you store more vitamin D, but you have the ability to store more fat soluble vitamins and toxins in your fat. And that is often why when people lose weight, they feel awful, because they are exploding and liberating fat from the fat cells. Sometimes using cold therapy, like we did at a retreat, we showed people how to freeze fat cells, which explodes them and gets rid of that body fat on the limb. I'm not going to tell you how to do that, but if you came to our retreat, you would have learned how to do that. When you explode that, you release the toxins, but you also release the vitamin D. You see, in the winter, you're not supposed to be eating a bunch of sugar and carbohydrates. You're supposed to be using your own body fat and eating a higher fat diet, fasting more. Therefore, you liberate fat from your body, and you liberate the vitamin D that's stored in there to circulate in the blood to help out wherever you need it.
Awesome. All right, so what would be the second thing besides exposing 70% of your skin in the summertime?
And so you want to be doing that around solar noon. You start out at like 5 minutes, depending on your skin type. The fairer skin, less time, and then you build up to more and more time. Now, dawn time sun on your skin, especially in the summer.
Wait, is this number 2?
No, allows you to build more vitamin D and absorb more ultraviolet light. So the more dawn or sunrise and sunset sun that you receive on your skin, the more vitamin D you can absorb during the day, because the more ultraviolet you can handle before you get burned. Okay, number 2 is this.
The puppy?
Not the pup. That's the puppy down here. You can probably see him.
Oh, there's a puppy.
There's Sage, the primal pup. He's hanging out. He's sleepy. We've been driving for 2 days. He's ready to get out. Of course, what we're doing here is number 2, which is driving, flying, getting yourself to a tropical, equatorial-based climate. So as close to the equator as you can. The puppy's trying to get up here. So the closer to the equator, you still make vitamin D from the sun in your skin. So my hair is growing really long. And that's what we're doing. So we are taking 2 weeks to spend time in Florida, grounded on the beach, in the sun, absorbing that ultraviolet from the sun that creates hormone D in the skin. You can do that in Florida, you can do it in Mexico, you can do it in all these different places. Florida is a lot more accessible to most of us than foreign countries. There's no COVID tests you have to take to get out of here. We can drive here without wearing the mask. And of course, there's no mandate in Florida for such a thing either, which just makes it so much more pleasant right now. So we are going to do that. We're going to expose a lot of skin. And honestly, I don't think everybody can spend 2 weeks. If you can, spend as much time as you are able to in this type of a climate in the winter, it would be ideal. It works for skin conditions like eczema, psoriasis, and it works for all sorts of other, I'm going to say cancers. I'm not a doctor, I'm not saying it cures it, but vitamin D status is highly dependent on cancer. So the higher vitamin D, the less cause of all cancers, including skin cancer. So 3 days in the sun, like in Mexico or Florida, is enough to give you about a 4 to 6 week boost of D for the winter, and that's just based on subjective results of lots of people we know that are very sensitive to this type of thing, going to Mexico and spending as little as 3 days and getting massive benefits for up to 6 weeks. So if you can just spend a weekend in Florida or somewhere down south, that can make a massive difference.
And along with all those benefits that Thaddeus just said, it also helps you stay happy, and your mindset, and just be out in the sunshine makes everything better. And you get Florida orange juice.
You can eat carbohydrates if you're around the right type of light. When you're around northern light in the winter, you cannot be eating carbohydrates. They can't grow. The body recognizes that they can't grow at that time of year by reading the light. Then you put them into your body and it causes chaos. So, next.
Okay, so that is, here we go. Number 3, we're like totally.
There's a puppy
Oh my
going
God.
crazy.
Okay, what would be the third reason to get vitamin D, or third way to get vitamin D?
All right, everybody. All right, so the third way, again, it goes from number 1 being best to 5 being the least best way. So the third best way is to get a vitamin B lamp, a UVB. So there's UVA, UVB, I've got some dog hair on my hat, and UVC. Those are the 3 flavors of ultraviolet light that hit the earth. Ultraviolet C is often used for disinfectant. I'm sure you'll hear more about that as we move forward with people getting back to the office during the scamdemic. And if you are interested in that type of light, it's not really compatible with biology. It kills some biology, and therefore there's very little of it on Earth. But UVB is what creates vitamin D, hormone D in the skin. So if you get a lamp, a tanning lamp, you can go to a tanning salon, and of course you want to make sure that they have UVB in their lamps. Most tans are done via UVA. That doesn't create vitamin D, it just tans your skin. So when you go to a tanning salon, you want to ensure that there's UVB lamps that make vitamin D, or you can buy one off Amazon. They make them, they're called Sperti, with an SPERTI. You can buy those, they're about $369. They're about a foot long by about a foot high. You can put them in your home, and you can use those for 5 to 8 minutes a day all winter, and that works really, really well. It's the way your body is supposed to make the hormone D.
Talk to the people about what our friend did. He used it every day.
So, you hear these things, and it's like, hey, does this lamp actually really work? So our friend lives in northern Minnesota, kind of where we live, same latitude as Wisconsin. He is a biohacker, so he did lab tests every 6 months. And for a little while, every 3 months, he did blood tests in the lab. And he tested his vitamin D. And his vitamin D we're going to talk about this at our retreat. He was taking a walk in the sunlight every single day for an hour and could build up no vitamin D. It's because he was doing it wrong. I can tell him exactly how he did it wrong, and I did tell him that. But because he didn't talk to me about it, he found that his walk for an hour a day was creating no vitamin D in his body, and his vitamin D status was about 20 nanograms per milliliter. That's really low. You want to be, generally they say between 25 to 40. Or maybe from 40 to 60, but my recommendation based on what I've heard and what I want myself to be at is above 60 and close to 100 nanograms per milliliter. He was down in the 20s and thought he was taking a walk every day getting D. Again, doing it at the wrong time of day. Big problem. So he bought the Spurdy lamp. He used it for 5 minutes a day, at least 4 to 5 days a week, and his vitamin D went to 84. So from 22 to 84, which is a huge increase. It really works.
He just had the B one though, right? The Spurdy?
He had the Spurdy UVB vitamin D lamp. I have the Spurdy Red, which has UVB and UVA, so it can tan you and it can give you the vitamin D. I just like that better. All right, so we're going to go to the third best way, which I'm not even sure is a real way to get vitamin D or hormone D in your body, but it's been theorized by Dr. Jack Kruse that deuterium in your blood, which is supposed to be in your blood, there's more deuterium in your blood than there is magnesium, when squeezed, can form a laser which creates ultraviolet light in your blood vessels and hits the receptors for vitamin D and creates vitamin D. That can happen in the winter if you're exposing skin. That's like shirt off or pants off in the sun with cold. So it's going to be cold in winter. You take off your shirts, you wear a sports bra, you wear a pair of shorts, whatever you want to do. You're outside doing cold adaptation, and you're doing this for generally 2 to 5 minutes. It's not a long time. And supposedly that blue light from the sun plus the cold creates a deuterium laser that may create vitamin or hormone D in your blood through the deuterium laser squeeze. That is extremely hypothetical, but it has been theorized as a potential way to get D in the winter. So if that's the only thing you can do, you can't do any of these other things, or if it's one of the strategies you want to use in addition, I highly recommend it.
Thaddeus, why do they call vitamin D and not a hormone? I think that's very misleading. Do you know?
I have no idea. That'd be something for you all to look up. I really don't know why they don't call it a hormone, because you think of things like melatonin, which is a hormone. They don't call it vitamin M.
Right.
So that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
We'll
get back to you on that.
Let's go to the last thing, which is the body isn't designed to receive hormones by eating them. It's designed to make hormones. So that's why by calling something vitamin D, we think we can take it like other vitamins. So the least best and the last way to get vitamin D in the winter, if you have no other option and your vitamin D status is really low, is take a vitamin D supplement or a vitamin D pill. I don't recommend that. Usually they come in at 400 IUs. Remember, one sun session can maybe get you 50 to 60 to 70,000 IUs, and you're taking 400 in a pill. So it doesn't increase your status a lot. And it's fat soluble, so it could be toxic if you take it too much of it at once and your body's not ready for it. It's getting this chemical signal of the hormone without the sunlight signal that can cause a lot of chaos in the body. So it can be generally somewhat limited help to some people with low vitamin D status, but it only helps so much. So it'll get you like a tiny bump up. It may confer some benefit, but it's going to have a ceiling to it, and it's not the ideal way to get it, and it can have some downsides. So if you want to research some of those, feel free. But it is, if you really have no other resources available to you other than that, it's a way to get it. And again, if that's all you have available to you, then I would do it.
What about like a mood-enhancing placebo effect? I've had people say, it's supposed to make my mood better, make me feel better, and then they take it and it does.
I don't know what to say about that. Everything is a placebo because everything is generated by your mind, and your spirit that inhabits your body is creating this reality. So basically people are telling you all these things, and enough consciousness makes it real. You can make your own reality. The sun can create every supplement, vitamin, and mineral that you need in your body. It can create it from the sun, from the air, from the water, from the Earth's magnetic field. and your mind working together to create everything your body needs. I 100% believe that that's possible. I am not at that level yet, but I am working toward creating the sovereign space and spiritual ascension to be able to do such things. So stay tuned for more of those. But yes, everything is a placebo, and the more placebos you add, the more benefit you probably get because your brain believes that they're doing something. So could you believe yourself into having high vitamin D status and protecting yourself from cancer? Absolutely. So definitely, whatever you do, don't think you're doing the worst thing. Think that you're doing the very best thing, and that it's going to have all the benefit that you need, and it will. But you have to believe it.
All right, well, if you guys think this video can help somebody, then send it to them. Sign up for our newsletter at PrimalHacker.com, and we'll see you later.